Do you know who George Soros is? You've heard the term Soros DA. Well, recently, Elon Musk put out a tweet that said, Soros reminds me of Magneto. And that made me laugh. And I thought it was just funny until I looked up Magneto. I mean, I know who Magneto is. I know he's one of the X-Men, but I didn't know anything about him really. So this is what Cora says about Magneto. Magneto is generally considered evil because he views Homo sapiens as a subclass of humanity to be replaced and ruled over by Homo superior. The irony intended there is that he directly experienced the effects of the Nazi regime in Germany and has become exactly what he hated at the time. Okay. Now, the media is all over Elon Musk. Everywhere I look, there are headlines about how Musk is an anti-Semite for the things he said about poor Jewish philanthropist George Soros. Okay, so I'm going to show you a clip from a 1998 interview George Soros did, and you listen. In his words, he will tell you. Well, let me back up. He was born in Hungary in 1930, and when when Germany invaded Hungary, he was born to a wealthy family. So his father bribed a German officer to say George was his godson. So when the Nazis were there, he was hanging out with this officer on a regular basis. He tells the story, and he would go with him when the officer would loot Jewish families right before they sent them away to the death camps. And George Soros explains in his own words how he had no guilt. He didn't feel bad about doing that. He didn't feel like he should be over there with the Jews being sent away to the death camps. And he said, if it wasn't him, it'd be somebody else. Now, I'm going to play the clip. You watch. What do you think? Watch this.
When the Nazis occupied Budapest in 1944, George Soros' father was a successful lawyer. He lived on an island in the Danube and liked to commute to work in a rowboat. But knowing there were problems ahead for the Jews, he decided to split his family up. He bought them forged papers, and he bribed a government official to take 14-year-old George Soros in and swear that he was his Christian godson. But survival carried a heavy price tag. While hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews were being shipped off to the death camps, George Soros accompanied his phony godfather on his appointed rounds, confiscating property from the Jews. These are pictures from 1944 of what happened to George Soros' friends and neighbors.
You're a Hungarian Jew who escaped the Holocaust by posing as a Christian.
Right.
And you watched lots of people get shipped off to the death camps.
Right. I was 14 years old. And I would say that that's when my character was made.
In what way?
That one should think ahead, one should understand and anticipate events, and one is threatened. It was a tremendous threat of evil. I mean, it was a very personal experience of evil.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes, yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
Not at all. Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't see the connection, but it created no problem at all.
No feeling of guilt.
No.
For example, that I'm Jewish, and here I am watching these people go. I could just as easily be there. I should be there. None of that.
Well, of course, I could be on the other side, or I could be the one from whom the thing is being taken away. But there was no sense that I shouldn't be there, because that was, Well, actually, funny way, it's just like in markets that if I weren't there, of course I wasn't doing it, but somebody else would be taking it away anyhow. In other words, whether I was there or not, I was only a spectator, the property was being taken away.
Okay, what do you think? I mean, is there a resemblance? You kind of see it? I think there's quite a resemblance. So George Soros he's an activist globalist, and he uses his money to buy local DA races. And his plan is to destabilize society by changing the criminal justice system. You hear about all these Soros DAs, how they're letting criminals off, they're not prosecuting criminals, and they're back out on the street and they're reoffending again. Well, the cities are becoming unsafe, and the people, the citizens, they hate it. Well, Soros' plan is to destabilize society so that they require, everybody wants, they'll scream, they'll say, this is so bad, we want heavy regulation and laws. They'll disarm, they'll take away your Second Amendment, they'll take away the guns. That's just one thing. People will demand, he's doing this so people will demand heavy regulation, and he can change society. They call it the Great Reset. Well, George Soros he wants a socialist, communist society for America and for the world, where the ruling class, which he is part of, makes all the rules, and the rest of the working class just has to obey them. That's what he wants for America. So George Soros is not a Jewish philanthropist like the media says. He's Jewish by heritage only. He's not religious, and he's not a philanthropist. This is one thing I find strange. George Soros is now 94 years old as of the making of this video. But he's still working hard for this change in society. He'll never live long enough to see the change. So it makes me wonder why he still works at it so hard. It's almost like he's driven by some unseen evil force. Yeah.